Questions 1 through 4 on this review sheet can be found on your STAR formula sheet. And so really we're just using our STAR formula sheet to write down the rules that we will be given on our STAR test. So product of powers, it's the first one under exponents. It says a to the m, a to the n. These two bases are the same. That's what's key. This equals a to the m plus n. You can add the powers up. The quotient one says a to the m over a to the n. When you are dividing and the bases are the same, you subtract the powers. Remember that when you subtract them, though, it is always the top power, the numerator power, the top one, minus the denominator. Oh, sorry, top minus the denominator, which we can call the bottom. Top minus bottom, or numerator minus denominator. The zero rule says that a to the 0th power equals 1. This is the only rule not on your formula sheet. But if you ever forget, you can always put a practice problem in or a practice thing in the calculator, like type 6 to the 0th, and it will come out to 1. The negative exponent rule comes in 2 versions. Pretty much the rule is if you're negative in the top or the bottom, you have to cross the fraction bar. So for example, if I have a and it's a negative power up top, then I send that a to the bottom of the fraction and make it positive. And the same thing, vice versa. If I'm a fraction, if I'm a fraction with a negative power, then I bring it up to the top and make it positive. So now we're going to do 5, 6, and 7 are all very similar. Something that is worth noting on 5, 6, and 7, so I'm going to make a little... These are all multiple choice problems. So on these 3, because it says this magic word, equivalent, type what you are given in a graph and then what we're going to do is type each answer into graph until you find the match. So one of the answers should match the original. The graph should appear to be the same. So that is an easy way in your calculator to check them. You can type it in a calculator or you can do it in Desmos. I'm going to do these by hand, and so it says which is equivalent. So I'm just going to practice using a box. So we're going to draw our box. We're going to multiply into the box. So x times 5x makes a 5x squared. Negative 6 times 5 makes a negative 30x. That's not the same thing that I have. So I'm going to do it again. I have my x, my 5 minus 6x. 5 times x is called 5x. Negative 6 times x times another x makes an x squared. So this says 5x minus 6x squared, which I can rewrite as negative 6x squared plus 5x. And that right there matches what I was given. So the answer is the second one. When I get over to number 6, I'm going to read very carefully because it says 2 expressions. So I need to find 2 answers. So make sure on your test that you read very carefully. So draw my box. 12 times 4 is going to make a 48. X times x is an x squared. Negative 1 times 12 is a negative 12. And then my x. So that does match what I was given in the beginning. So I'm going to pick this one. We'll do the next one, x. And 12x minus 4. This makes a 12x squared, which is what I have, which is not what I have. I need to have a 48, so it's not that one. 12. 4x minus 4. 12 times 4 makes 48, but I only have an x here. I'm supposed to have an x squared, so it's not that one either. X out front, 48x, and then a minus 12. 48x times another x makes a 48x squared. Negative 12 times x is a negative 12x. That one matches, which means the last one must be wrong, and so my two answers are the first one and the third one. Number 7, we're going to do this again, and we're going to find the one that's equivalent. The only difference in number 7 is I have this minus thing at the end that I'm going to have to deal with every time. So you can distribute this across if you want, or you can draw your box. Either way will work. I'm going to go ahead and do the first one. 13k k minus 19. 13k times k is going to make a 13k squared. And then 13k times 19 is going to make a negative 247k. So right now I have a 13k squared minus a 247k. And I can't forget that at the end down here, I have a minus 117. But regardless, this middle term is definitely not right, so it's not that one. So we'll try the second one. I have 6.5k, 2k here, and a minus 18 here. 2 times 6.5 is 13, and a k times a k is a k squared. 6.5 times negative 18 is going to make a negative 117, and then my k. So right now I have 13k squared minus 117k. I'm looking really good, and then I have my plus 19. This matches this. So my answer is the second one, B. On number 8, you have to know this formula. You must know it for your test. Area of a rectangular square is length times width. So it says write the expression to represent area of canvas A. So I'm going to let this one be my length, and I'll let this one be my width. So my area for A, or canvas A, is going to be length times width, which is 3x times 2x plus 8. I can turn that into a box problem. 3x, 2x, and a plus 8. 2 times 3 makes a 6. X times x makes an x squared. 8 times 3 is a 24, and then my x. So my answer for this one is 6x squared plus 24x. For canvas B, I'm going to let this one be my length, and this one be my width. So area equals length times width equals my 4x times my 5x minus 12. So if I draw my box, my 4x is going to go out front, 5x minus 12 up top. 4 times 5 makes a 20, and x times x is called x squared. Negative 12 times 4 is negative 48, and then x. So I have 20x squared minus 48x as my answer to part B. And the last one that says, what expression can be used to represent the total area? So I have 6x squared plus 24x, that's my blue part, plus my green part, 20x squared minus 48x. This 6x squared should go with my 20x squared and get me 26x squared. 24x and my minus 40x should go together and make negative 24x. So here's the area of both canvases together. For number 9, in this first red piece, everyone has to get the power. So I have a to the negative 8th, and then a third power. B to the 6th, and then a third power. Then I have this blue piece that they both have to get the second power. So I have a 5 with a second power and a C with the second power. And on the bottom, everything needs to get the 0th power, but except anything, this box to the 0th power equals 1. So it's just all over 1. So I'm going to do my red stuff up top. Remember that these powers, you should multiply them. A power raised to a power, you should multiply. So I'm going to have a to the negative 24th, b to the 18th, and then don't forget, this 5 has a hiding power of 1, and the c has a hiding power of 1, and then again, you're going to multiply these powers. So you get 5, oops. Sorry, you get 5, 2 times 1 is 2, and then c, second power. And I'm going to write my final answer. This 5 squared in a calculator is 25. I'm going to cross it off, I've used it. The a has a negative power, so it needs to go to the bottom. I'm going to cross it off because I've used it. And then I have my b to the 18th and my c to the second power, which is my final answer. Number 10 says to write an expression that represents the area of a rectangle. Again, area of a rectangle is length times width. So I'll let this be my length and this one be my width. My area is going to be 2a squared b to the 3rd times 4b to the 5th to the second power. Everyone here needs to get my third power. So I get 2 to the 3rd, a squared to the 3rd, and b to the 3rd. And then the next one, everyone gets my 2 powers. So I have 4 to the 2nd, b to the 5th to the 2nd. So this is going to be 2 to the 3rd times, remember you multiply the powers, a to the 6th times b to the 3rd times 4 squared times b to the 10th. This and this are numbers. So 2 to the 3rd in my calculator is going to make an 8, and 4 squared in the calculator is going to make a 16. And then when you multiply those two together, you will get a 128. I have 6 a's here, so a to the 6th. I have b to the 3rd, 3 b's here, and then down here I have 10 more, so it should be b to the 13th. Okay, so for number 11, in my first set of parentheses, I have 2 things. So my box needs to be 2 boxes high. And then it has to be 3 boxes long because I have 3 things in my second set of parentheses. So my 5x to the 4th goes here, negative 6y, 7x to the 6th, minus 4y to the 5th, plus 5x to the 8th. This first piece always goes on the side over here. The second piece always goes on the top up here. And then you multiply in the boxes. So 5 times 7 is 35, and then 4x's and 6x's make x to the 10th. 5 times negative 4 makes negative 20, 4x's and 5y's. So 4x's, 5y's. Those are different bases, so I cannot put them together. 5 times a 5 makes a 25, and then I have 4 x's and 8 more x's, so it's going to be x to the 12th. 7 times negative 6 is negative 42, and then I have a x to the 6th and a y. We always write them in alphabetical order. Negative 6 times a negative 4 makes a positive 24. Remember, this y is a power of a 1 on him, so I have 1y there and 5 up top, which makes a y to the 6th. And then finally, 5 times negative 6 makes a negative 30, x to the 8th, and a y. So I write my final answer down and make sure I don't have to combine any like terms. So I have 35x to the 10th minus 20x to the 4th, y to the 5th, plus 25x to the 12th, minus 42x to the 6th, y, plus 24y to the 6th, minus 30x to the 8th, y. None of my powers match up, so I do not have to combine any like terms, and so there's my answer. So remember, in Eduphoria, this next problem is tricky. You first have to pick linear. Pick linear. Do that first. Once you do that, it's going to throw a line down, and it is your job to move those dots. So when you go to do that, to move your points, you can use some different tools. So one, you can use the calculator. Oh. And use a graph. You have to literally type the word and solve, open a parenthesis, you'll put your equation down. Remember, always comma y when you're graphing. And then once you do that and you let it graph, it'll take a second to think. You'll type control and then T, and a table will show up. And then you can get points from your table. So that's one option. Another option is that we can just do some algebra and solve for y. So I write my equation down, 8x minus 2y equals negative 4. I have to get y by himself. So I minus the 8x over. Negative 2y equals negative 8x minus 4. Then divide everyone by this negative 2. Y equals, a negative divided by a negative is positive. 8 divided by 2 is 4x. And then plus 2. Remember, this is a 4 over 1. This is my y-intercept. This is my rise over my run, my slope, my rate of change. So I'm going to go to positive 2 and put a dot. And from that dot, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and over to the right. You always go to the right one. And then you can grab your ruler. In Eduphoria, you won't have to grab a ruler because it will draw this line for you. But you'll have to put 2 dots down. And there's your line. So again, when you get to Eduphoria, you have to pick this linear. And then, again, you can see these calculator directions up here. Or you can do the algebra. So go ahead and pause and then try this problem by yourself. So this is my y-intercept. And then this is my rise over my run. So I go up 5 and over to the right 1. Then once you have those 2 dots down, Eduphoria will draw this line for you. You also, if you want to use Desmos for 12 and 13, you have to get to y equals, you've got to solve for y, and you can graph them, or you can do it in the calculator, and then you can trace points off of Desmos and do this as well. Okay, on number 14. Every single thing in the parentheses needs to get this 3 on the outside. And if it helps you to put the 1 in here on those 2s to remember, everyone needs to get the 3. So this is going to become 2 to the 1st to the 3rd. B to the 3rd to the 3rd. B squared to the third. There was 3 things in top, and 3 things in my top got my power. In the bottom, there are 2 things, 2 to the first, to the third, and then b to the fourth, to the third. In the bottom, there were 2 things, and everyone got my power. Now in the bottom, not in the bottom. Now we're going to go through, and all these powers, it's a power raised to a power, so we are going to multiply. So I get 2, sorry, that's not supposed to be a highlighter still. So on top, I get 2 to the third times 3 times 3 is 9. So b to the 9th times b to the 6th over 2 to the third, b to the 12th. 2 to the third is 8. But 8 divided by 8 is just 1, so those cancel off. So now I'm left with 9 b's and 6 b's on top makes b to the 15th on top, and then b to the 12th on the bottom. You subtract those. 15 minus 12 is 3. Or you can say that there's more b's on the top, and there's 3 more b's. So I should have a b to the third left on top as my answer. Number 15, there's a multiplication sign in between, so I'm just going to extend this fraction, make it one big fraction. So I'm going to rewrite everything, but I'm going to put them in order. So I'm going to write all the r's first. So I have r to the third, cross it off. R squared, crossed it off. S to the 21st, cross it off. S to the 14th, cross it off. On the bottom, since I wrote the r's first on the top, I'm going to write this r, and he has a 1 power, but he's right there. And then I have this s to the 1 power. Then I have s to the 5th. So now if I combine things, up top, I have an r to the 5th. And I have an s to the 35th over an r. And then these two make an s to the 6th power. And I am going to write my little power in here on my r. So then I can simplify one more time. There's 5 r's on top and 1 on bottom. 5 minus 1 is 4. So I get r to the 4th. And then 35 minus 6 makes s to the 29th. Now if you look, this is my x. And the y is on my s. This is my y. So in the x box, you should just be putting a 4. And the y box, you're going to put just a 29. On number 16, there's lots of ways to start. So one way to start is, first of all, this line is going down like this. So if you remember your slope man looks like this. Down slopes are negative, up slopes are positive. And then up and down is undefined, and side to side is 0. There's my slope man. But this line is going down. So my slope should be negative. Well, that's a positive slope, and that's a positive slope. So those both are the answer. Another way to look at it is that my y-intercept right here is 3. So I must have a 3 at the end of my equation. So that still would have gotten rid of the same 2. Now, if you look at the last 2 that I have left, I just need to count my slope. So if here's 1 dot, and let's see, here's another dot. I'm going down 1, minus 1, and then I'm going to the right 2. So when I do my rise over my run, my rise was -1, and then always to the right 2. So my slope's -1/2, which means I should be picking the bottom answer choice because this one has the wrong slope. Okay, so the next one, remember my 3 has a 1 power, this 3 has a 1 power. It's always a good idea to go in and add in those 1 powers. That way we don't forget them. Now I can go in and make sure that everyone gets their powers. So I have 3 to the first, and it needs to get the 2 from the outside. A to the second, and gets the 2 from the outside. B to the 6th, and the 2 from the outside. In the next set of parentheses, I had 3 to the first. It gets a 3 from the outside. A to the 10th with a 3 from the outside. And B to the 4th with a 3 from the outside. we are going to go through and multiply the powers, a power to a power. So I get 3 squared, a to the 4th, b to the 12th, 3 to the 3rd, a to the 30th, b to the 12th. This in a calculator is 9, and this in a calculator is 27. And when you do 9 times 27, you get 243. I have an a to the 4th and an a to the 30th, which means I have a to the 34th. B to the 12th and b to the 12th makes b to the 24th. So my final answer should be 243, a to the 34th, b to the 24th. And the next one, take the numbers right here, 5 over 15, put in the calculator. And when you put that in the calculator, that should come out to a 1/3, a 1 on top and a 3 on bottom. Now I'm going to go through and just make everyone have positive powers. So my a to the 10th stays on top. My b to the 5th has a positive power, he's going to stay on top. And my c to the 22nd is going to stay on top. In the bottom, my a to the -2 comes up to the top and becomes a positive. My b is going to go to the bottom, or stay on the bottom, sorry, and my c is going to stay on the bottom. So now I have 1/3. Right here, that makes a to the 12th. Right here, these greens, there's more b's on bottom. You can subtract them. Or you can say there are 9 more b's on bottom. And then these two, there's more c's on top. There's 11 more on top. And then you're just going to box this because this is your final answer. You also can write it with no 1 out front, so just a to the 12th, c to the 11th over 3, b to the 9th. You don't have to have that 1. You should have done 21, 22, 23, 24 in class. So let's do those real quick, and then we'll go back to do 19 and 20. This we have done many times now in this video. This is a power raised to another power. So when you do a power raised to a power, you multiply 2 over 3 times 5. And remember, to get the fraction in the calculator, you press the control button and then the division sign, and that will make the fraction thing show up in the calculator. So when you do that, you're going to get x to the 10/3. Should be this one. Do the same thing again for 23. 6 over 7 times 3. It's going to make a to the 18 over 7, which should make the first one. Now let's look at 22 and 23. I have 2 pieces, a blue piece and a red piece. And this red piece can be simplified first because it has a power raised to a power that I should multiply. So x to the 5th to the 6th makes x to the 30th. Now I can't leave out my blue piece. It needs to come back down. X to the 12th. And so this means you're going to add them, or you can draw them out. There'd be 12 blue x's and 30 red x's. So that's like saying x to the 12th plus 30 more makes x to the 42nd. Now the only trick in this problem is the following. This y is the power. The power, so all they want right here is 42. They don't want the x in there. Don't put the x. It'll make it wrong in Eduphoria, just the power. Go ahead and pause the video, and then you can try this one because it's much like 23. So first I have to clean up my red piece, which becomes g to the 56th, and then I have to drop down my blue piece, the g to the 26th. Now you add those. There'd be 26 blue g's and 56 red g's, and altogether that would make 82 g's, and then they only want the power, so 82. Number 19. This first equation is beautiful. Just leave it alone. This bottom equation needs some help. So x plus y equals 4. Let's get the y by himself. Minus x. Y equals negative x plus 4. Now this thing is beautiful. Take both of these bubbled equations and put them in to Desmos. And you're going to touch where they intersect. And then you're going to read very carefully the value of y. It wants the value of y. So please make sure when you get the ordered pair, the only thing you need is the y value. And when you do that, y, oh, sorry, it's supposed to be a pen, you should get that y equals 0. So that is your answer. In number 20, they ask for the x value. So make sure you're reading. They only want the x. So this top equation is great because it already says y equals. It's in slope-intercept form. This one needs some help. 5x minus 4y equals negative 3. I need y by himself. So my 5x has got to move to the other side. Negative 4y equals, we always write our x first, negative 5x minus 3. And then y needs to be by himself. So I have to divide everything by a negative 4. So y is going to equal 5 over 4x, a negative divided by negative is a positive, plus 3 over 4. Take these two bubbles and put them into Desmos. Remember, you're only looking for the x value, and x is going to equal 1.